The Switch has one of the best game libraries ever made. Picking just 20 was brutal. So grab a controller, get comfy, and let's count down the 20 games that make this console worth owning. Luigi's Mansion 3. Luigi gets dragged to a haunted hotel for a vacation, and things go wrong fast, as usual. You explore floor by floor with the Poltergust, sucking up ghosts after stunning them with a flash, while your buddy Luigi handles the gross or dangerous spots Luigi's too scared to touch. Every floor feels like its own little theme, from a chef's kitchen full of traps to a frozen art gallery, and each one hides secrets, gems, and a boss with its own gimmick to figure out. The puzzle solving is clever without being frustrating, and the humor lands every time, especially watching Luigi flinch at every creak. Co-op play with a second Luigi makes puzzles even funnier when you're not communicating well. It's a game that never overstays its welcome on any single floor, always introducing something new to keep exploring fun. A cozy, spooky, genuinely funny time from start to finish. Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door. This one takes the classic RPG formula and wraps it in paper cutout charm and genuinely funny writing. Mario chases down a treasure map that leads him into a conspiracy involving an ancient evil sealed away long ago. Picking up a colorful cast of partners along the way who each bring their own ability to solve puzzles outside of battle. Combat uses a turn-based system, but timing your button presses for extra damage or defense keeps every fight active, instead of just watching numbers go up. What really stands out is the audience during battles, tossing items to help or booing you when a fight drags on, which makes every encounter feel alive. The story bounces between chapters that each feel like their own mini-adventure, from a wrestling tournament to a ghost-filled mansion. The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening. Link washes up on a mysterious island after a shipwreck, and the only way home is tied to waking a giant sleeping windfish, which sounds simple until you realize the island has other plans. This remake takes the classic Game Boy adventure and gives it a diorama, toy-like art style that makes every town and dungeon look like a miniature model come to life. The dungeons lean heavily on item-based puzzles, so grabbing a new tool usually means backtracking to unlock a path you couldn't reach before. There's a real sense of mystery here, since the island's residents all feel a little off, hinting at something stranger going on beneath the surface. A Dungeon Maker mode also lets you build your own layouts using pieces from the story dungeons. It's a shorter, tighter Zelda experience, but every inch of the island feels handcrafted and worth exploring. Live Alive. This is a Japanese RPG unlike anything else on the console, telling 7 completely separate stories set in different time periods, from prehistoric times to a Wild West showdown to a distant future on a spaceship. Each chapter has its own cast, its own tone, and its own twist on how you play, so one chapter might focus on stealth, while another is a straightforward brawl through enemies. Combat uses a grid-based system where positioning actually matters, since attacks have specific ranges and shapes you need to line up correctly. Once you've finished all 7 stories, they weave together into a final chapter that ties everything into one bigger tale. The remake's art style mixes 2D sprites with a soft painted look that makes every chapter feel like its own storybook. It's inventive, weird in the best way, and constantly surprising with what it tries next.
You're done!
Metroid Dread. Samus gets sent to a distant planet to investigate a strange signal, only to find herself hunted by a relentless robotic threat that can track her down almost anywhere she hides. This is Metroid at its core, exploring a huge interconnected map, finding new abilities that open up previously blocked paths, and fighting tough bosses that demand you actually learn their patterns. What makes the exploration so satisfying is how naturally new abilities loop you back to earlier areas that suddenly make sense with a fresh set of tools. The stealth sections with a pursuing enemy add real tension, since getting caught means a tense chase you have to think your way out of rather than just running blindly. Boss fights are challenging but fair, rewarding patience and observation over button mashing. It's a tightly designed, atmospheric adventure that respects the player's intelligence throughout. Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury. This one is really two games in one. The main game has Mario and friends running through bite-sized 3D levels packed with clever gimmicks, catsuits that let you climb walls, and co-op chaos when playing with friends, since everyone can help or accidentally get in each other's way. Every level introduces a new idea and moves on before it overstays its welcome, keeping things fresh level after level. Then there's Bowser's Fury, a smaller open-world adventure where a corrupted, giant Bowser periodically shows up and forces you to team up with Bowser Jr. to fight him off before going back to exploring. It's a strange but genuinely fun mashup of open exploration and classic Mario platforming challenges scattered across islands. Both halves complement each other well, giving you tight, focused levels and a looser sandbox to mess around in. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. This is the kart racing game most people already know, but the amount of content packed in here is genuinely huge. Tracks range from classic circuits to gravity-defying courses where you drive on walls and ceilings, and the addition of gliding and underwater sections keeps races from feeling repetitive. Items are the heart of the chaos, letting you shell a friend into last place or snag first with a well-timed mushroom boost. With the Booster Course Pass, the track roster ballooned to cover tracks from nearly every prior Mario Kart game, making this basically a career-spanning collection. Battle Mode, 200 cubic centimeter speed for those wanting a real challenge, and smooth online play round out the package. Whether you're playing solo against bots or with a room full of friends, it's chaotic, competitive, and endlessly replayable in short bursts or long sessions. Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. Set on the backs of two colossal frozen titans that make up the entire known world, this JRPG follows a group caught in a war between organic life and a mechanical army, sparked by a legendary blade with a mind of its own. The world design is massive, with wide-open zones packed with wildlife, hidden areas, and side quests that reward genuine exploration rather than just filling a checklist. Combat runs in real time, blending auto attacks with special arts you trigger manually, and positioning around enemies unlocks bonus effects that reward smart play. The story takes some real turns as it goes, touching on fate, purpose, and what it means for something artificial to have a soul. This definitive edition adds an extra epilogue chapter that deepens the ending further. It's a long journey, but one with real emotional weight behind the scale. Pikmin 4. You crash land on a planet and need to rescue your missing crew using an army of tiny plant creatures who follow your every command, each type bringing unique abilities like fire resistance or flight. The core loop is about time and strategy, splitting your Pikmin into groups to gather resources, solve environmental puzzles, and haul treasure back to base before the day runs out. A new dog companion named Ochi adds mobility, letting you ride him across gaps or through water that Pikmin alone couldn't cross. Night missions introduce a tense survival mode, where you defend a mobile base from nocturnal creatures using everything you've collected. The mix of cute visuals and surprisingly deep strategic planning keeps you thinking several steps ahead constantly. It's charming on the surface, but genuinely rewards careful planning underneath that charm. Fire Emblem 3 Houses. You play as a professor at a monastery training academy, choosing one of 3 houses of students to lead, each with different personalities, goals, and a very different perspective on the conflict brewing across the continent. Outside of battle, you spend time teaching classes, building relationships, and exploring the monastery grounds, which makes the cast feel genuinely real by the time war breaks out. Combat is classic tactical strategy on a grid, where positioning, unit weaknesses, and permadeath risk make every decision feel weighty. The story splits based on which house you pick, and a major time skip partway through changes the entire tone and stakes of the war. Character relationships you build early on come back in surprising and sometimes heartbreaking ways later. It's a huge time investment, but one that rewards you with a cast you actually care about. Astral Chain. Set in a near future where the world is under attack from creatures crossing over from another dimension, You play as a police officer paired with a captured version of one of these creatures, called a legion, that fights alongside you on a tether. Combat is the real draw here, letting you control your character directly while also commanding your legion at range, chaining combos between the two for some seriously stylish fight sequences. Investigation sections between fights have you gathering clues and questioning suspects, giving the game a detective drama feel between the action. Different legion types offer completely different combat styles, from a sword-wielding fighter to a beast built for speed, so switching things up keeps combat fresh. The story leans into mystery and sacrifice as the true nature of the threat unfolds. Super Mario Bros. Wonder. This side-scrolling Mario game throws out the usual rulebook the moment Wonder Flowers show up, twisting each level into something completely unpredictable, like pipes coming alive, or the entire level suddenly turning into a musical number. No two levels feel the same because of this, and you genuinely never know what a Wonder Flower will do until you touch one. New power-ups like the elephant form and a bubble that traps enemies add fresh ways to interact with obstacles beyond the usual jump and stomp. Badges let you customize your playstyle a bit, whether that's an extra jump, better grip, or helpful hints for tricky platforming sections. Multiplayer supports up to 4 players, causing joyful chaos as everyone bumps into each other mid-jump. It's easily one of the most imaginative and surprising platformers Nintendo has made in years. Animal Crossing: New Horizons. You move to a deserted island and slowly build it up from scratch, deciding where houses go, what the island looks like, and which villagers you want living alongside you. There's no real goal pushing you forward, just daily activities like fishing, bug catching, digging out fossils, and decorating your home exactly how you want it. The terraforming tools eventually let you reshape entire cliffs and rivers, turning island design into a genuinely deep creative outlet for players who want to get into it. Seasonal events and holidays roll through in real time, giving the island a rhythm that mirrors the actual calendar outside your window. Visiting friends' islands or having them visit yours adds a nice social layer to all the building and collecting. It's a relaxing, low-pressure game that rewards patience and creativity over any kind of rush. Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Kirby gets pulled through a portal into an abandoned, overgrown human world, giving this classic character his first real, fully 3D adventure with actual depth to explore instead of a flat side-scroll. The signature copy ability returns, letting Kirby swallow enemies to gain their powers. But now, some abilities get upgraded mid-level into bigger, flashier versions with new movesets entirely. Levels are compact, but packed with hidden collectibles, secret paths, and captured Waddle Dees you need to rescue and bring back to rebuild a growing town. That town genuinely evolves as you save more Ds, giving a nice sense of progress beyond just finishing levels. Boss fights are a real highlight, ramping up in creativity and scale as the story goes on. It's a surprisingly emotional, gorgeous-looking adventure that respects the character's roots while trying something new. Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Set in a world where everyone lives on the backs of giant beasts called Titans, drifting through a sea of clouds, this story follows a scavenger who ends up bonded to a rare, powerful being while chasing the myth of a paradise called Elysium. Combat revolves around building combos between your party's attacks and your bonded partners, timing everything to chain devastating finishers together. There's a huge cast of these partner characters to collect and grow attached to, each with their own personality, backstory, and unique fighting style worth exploring. The world itself is staggering in scale, with entire ecosystems and cultures built into each Titan you visit. The story takes some genuinely surprising turns as the true nature of Elysium and the world's origins come into focus. It's a long, ambitious RPG with real heart behind its more anime-leaning presentation. Metroid Prime Remastered. Samus responds to a distress signal and ends up stranded on a mysterious planet steeped in ancient ruins and creeping corruption, piecing together its history through scans and environmental clues rather than direct exposition. This remaster brings the original first-person exploration into sharp, modern visuals while keeping the exact same methodical pacing that made it special, where every new item opens a previously sealed path somewhere else on the map. Combat and exploration blend together through a lock-on targeting system, letting you strafe and dodge while still lining up precise shots on enemies and puzzle mechanisms alike. The atmosphere is a huge part of the experience, with quiet, eerie environments that make you feel genuinely isolated on this planet. Scanning objects for lore rewards curious players without ever forcing the story on you. Super Mario Odyssey. Mario chases Bowser across a series of wildly different kingdoms, trying to stop a forced wedding. And the tool that makes this journey special is Cappy, a sentient hat that lets Mario possess enemies and objects to solve puzzles and traverse levels in unexpected ways. Each kingdom feels like its own distinct little world, from a food-themed land to a bustling city with realistic proportions. And each is absolutely packed with moons to collect that unlock new areas or abilities. The possession mechanic constantly changes how you interact with obstacles, turning a simple dinosaur or tank into a whole new way to explore the same space. Exploration rewards curiosity heavily here, since moons are often tucked into spots you'd only find by poking around corners and rooftops. Boss fights get creative with how Cappy factors into defeating them. The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. Link wakes up after a disaster that fractures the kingdom and sends islands floating into the sky. And this time, exploration isn't just about walking and climbing, but genuinely building your own solutions using new fusion and construction abilities. You can combine weapons with materials for new effects, build vehicles out of scavenged parts, or fuse objects together to solve puzzles no one designer specifically planned for. The map expands both up into the sky and down into a vast underground, tripling the scale of exploration compared to its predecessor. Shrines and dungeons return with a heavier focus on using your new abilities creatively rather than following a single intended solution. The story digs deeper into the kingdom's ancient history and the true nature of the calamity threatening it. Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Two warring nations are locked in an endless cycle of conflict where soldiers' lives are cut painfully short. And this story follows 6 soldiers from opposing sides who form an unlikely alliance after gaining the ability to fuse their strengths together. Combat builds on the series' previous entries with a class system letting you mix and match roles across your party, plus a powerful fusion mechanic that turns 2 characters into one overwhelming force during tough fights. The world blends the 2 prior game settings together in a way that rewards longtime fans while still working fine for newcomers. Themes of mortality, purpose, and what people fight for run throughout the story, giving it a heavier emotional tone than earlier entries. Side content and character quests add real depth to the huge cast surrounding the 6 leads. The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. Link wakes from 100 years sleep with no memory in a kingdom that's fallen into ruin. And from that first moment, the game hands you almost total freedom to go anywhere you can see, with barely any hand-holding along the way. Climbing, gliding, and a small set of core abilities let you approach every problem however you want, whether that means sneaking past enemies, cooking up buffs before a fight, or just running straight at a challenge and improvising. Weapons break, forcing you to constantly adapt and experiment rather than relying on one favorite tool for the whole adventure. The story unfolds mostly through memories and optional discoveries, so how much of the kingdom's fall you understand depends entirely on how much you choose to explore. Shrines and towers dot the map, rewarding curiosity at every turn without ever feeling like a checklist. That's the list. Let me know in the comments which ones made your personal ranking and which game you think got snubbed. If you enjoyed this countdown, drop a like and subscribe for more gaming content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.